So you wrestled a month or so with a torn ACL, and then regionals and state on a torn meniscus and ACL, and you went undefeated this season. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
I got that dog in me, yeah. Turn me up. Big energy, got the crowd going nuts.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Wrestle podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Brenton, and today I am joined by your 2024 170-pounder who is a state champion from Wyoming, Miss Ashten Hubbs. How you doing today, Ashten?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing great. Why don't you go ahead and tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
So I've been wrestling for about 14 years. And along wrestling, I've been a football player for about 6, along with many other extracurricular activities, including like FFA and 4-H. But my biggest passion is wrestling.
Love it. What got you started in wrestling?
So when I was little, I would go to practice with my older brother, and I would hate sitting there and watching him practice. So I decided to ask their coach if I could join, and he said absolutely. And ever since then, I've been hooked on wrestling.
How old were you?
I was about 4 or 5 years old.
Okay. And you just started up and never stopped, huh?
Yep.
Okay. So you started wrestling boys then, correct?
Yes, I was always the only girl on the team.
Okay. And that hasn't changed, right? You're still the only girl on that high school team in Cody, right?
That's correct. Yeah, I've been the only girl on my team in Cody for almost my whole life since I've moved here. I haven't had any other girls join the team, but I'm hoping to change that.
Yeah. Hopefully you can lead by example and get some girls in that room. Have you ever been on a girls' team at all before?
Not here in Cody, but the Wyoming women's team, I've traveled with them and gotten to see the experience of being on an all-girls team.
Okay. And how was that? How many times have you been on that team?
I've been on that team for a long time. I've gotten to travel. I've gotten to go to practices, wrestle other girls who are just as advanced, and help other girls who need help getting advanced.
Awesome. So when you started on those girls' national teams, was there very many girls?
Not to start, it was pretty small, and it was definitely nice to get those girls who felt like me, who were alone on their teams, being the only girls, or even if there were one or two of them. So there weren't very many, but as the years have gone, it's definitely grown massively.
Yes, I agree. The first couple of years, we only had, I think, maybe 5, 6 girls max that we'd take to the nationals, and then yeah, now this last year we took 70, so that was crazy. So it's been a big jump, and it's cool to see how much it's grown. You mentioned though that you've been on a few teams. What kind of national tournaments have you attended?
So I've been to many different national tournaments, like Texas. I went to Vegas. I've been to Oklahoma, Salt Lake,
That one was fun.
Iowa, and Virginia Beach, and Florida.
You've gone to a lot of national tournaments, a handful. You've gone every year. You've gone to multiple a year. How have you done at those tournaments that you've attended for nationals?
So all around, I feel like I've done pretty great at excelling at national tournaments. I have become a 9-time All-American, which is a pretty great goal for
Yeah,
me.
that's
I'm hoping
awesome.
this year to become a 10. Yeah.
Awesome. So for those of you that don't know, All Americans top 8. So she's been going around doing all these stuff, competing on a national stage. Let's talk about competing at a state stage. So you are in high school, have been for the past couple of years. Tell me about your high school experience.
So starting as a freshman, I came into the season a little worried. As a freshman, I feel like everybody's a little worried on the competition. But as
Mhm.
I went through the season, I got to see the competition, and there were some really good girls out there. making it all the way up until state, I feel like I did pretty good. I only lost a couple. As a freshman, I feel like that's pretty good to do, to stay humble, to stay
Yeah.
like focused.
Were you 170
And
last year
as
as
I got
well?
into the state tournament, I was 170,
Yeah,
yes.
both years. Okay. And then this
Yes.
year, how did this year go for you?
And this year was amazing. I had one of the best seasons I've ever had. Coming into my sophomore year, I was super excited to see the new girls that come up and to see some of the older girls. And as I went through my season, I had a blast meeting all of the girls and the competition, and I had an amazing year, I believe.
Yeah, I thought you looked pretty solid. What kind of things did you do differently this year that you haven't done before?
I feel like this year I was a little more determined to come back stronger, to come back and do better at and just excel at my skills and at a higher level of wrestling, seeing as there's more girls coming in and more experience is being thrown out there. So I just feel like this year I had more drive to push myself to the point where I could win and excel at the same time.
Yeah, you looked really solid. You looked really good out there. I've been obviously watching you for a long time now, coached you a lot. So whenever I see you walk on that mat, I'm always excited to see what you can do and pull off. You looked really good though this year. You could definitely see how much you've advanced and how much you've grown as a wrestler. So it's awesome to see that with you. Um, Tell me about your high school team. What's that practice environment like with all those boys in there?
So, being as I'm the only girl on my high school team,
Mhm.
it was rough at first, but I've grown up with most of those boys, so they were very welcoming, very excited to see that I was still wrestling at the high school level. I've had great partners. They've all been amazing at helping me and teaching me the little things because the little things matter. So,
Yes.
getting to break down those small aspects and wrestling with some of those boys is amazing. I've wrestled almost all the heavier kids and I've gotten to kind of see the different levels of like skill. I've
Hmm.
wrestled freshmen all the way up into a senior. And so on my team, they're always super pumped up, super excited to start the wrestling season, and they're always super supportive.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. How many boys are on your team?
I think there's about 30
Okay.
boys on our team,
Okay. Pretty
and
solid
then
room.
me.
Yeah. Right. So tell me
Yeah.
about your coaching staff.
I have an amazing coaching staff here with my head coach, Trev Wood, who is always there for me, always supportive, along with his assistant coaches. And we have quite a few assistant coaches, but our main assistant coaches would be Coach Larson and Coach Duncan, Travis Duncan. They are amazing and have always been there and always supported me through my wrestling seasons.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that they're supportive of, you being the only girl in the room. I know I know that challenge. So I know that that's kind of a sticky situation sometimes. And you have to have coaches that want you to be there, and want you to do good and succeed. So I'm glad that you have those coaches. Um, you said that you started though, and it was kind of rough at the beginning when you started. Was that because the adversity of being a girl?
Absolutely. Being a girl wrestler in Cody was not always accepted. Going around trying to sell raffle tickets, I'd always get funny looks, mean comments that girls shouldn't be wrestling, that that's a guy's sport. In school, people would say that I was not made to wrestle, girls aren't made to wrestle, but I've not had many issues on my team, seeing as I've grown up with all of them and they've always been super supportive of me wrestling.
That's good. I think having a solid team behind you is always very, very helpful. And yeah, you're going to have those people that don't think girls should wrestle, but then you go pin their son and it's fine. um, so you have been working through a knee injury. What happened there?
So, towards between the beginning and middle of the season, January 3rd, our first practice back after the break, I was wrestling with one of my partners, and I'm not quite sure what move we were running, but I heard my knee pop.
Mm.
Everybody thought that I had dislocated my kneecap, but then I went and got an MRI and was devastated with the news that I found out that I tore my ACL.
Oh,
I was told that my season was over by my doctor here, but we went and found a surgeon who helped me and found me a brace that I could wear during my wrestling season to finish off my sophomore state season. And then when I got to regionals, the second day of regionals, I was warming up and pushed off my knee wrong, and then I had tore my meniscus. So that was
at regionals you
fun.
did?
I did, yeah. The
Oh
second day of regionals, I
no.
wrestled that same day. I wrestled the same day and took first there to come out on top so I could have the number one seed at state.
How far into the season did you tear your ACL?
About like 2 months into the season.
Okay. So you wrestled for
So
like a month or
I got a lot
so.
of the small things. Yeah.
Okay. So you wrestled a month or so with a torn ACL and then regionals and state on a torn meniscus and an ACL, and you went undefeated this season. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
That's crazy, girl. That's crazy. I can't believe how tough you are. So tell me about that. Did it hurt? Like, was it hard to do all that? Like, how did you get through it? Like, you could obviously walk, but did that brace help a lot?
So during the first part when I tore my ACL, it definitely hurt for a little bit, but after a while, it didn't hurt too bad. When I tore my meniscus, it definitely hurt a lot more.
Yeah.
The brace did help quite a bit, but it was very restricted. I couldn't bend my knee all the way back, so that was really hard. But besides that, I felt like I it didn't hurt too bad, and the brace really wasn't that uncomfortable, so it wasn't too bad.
Okay. And so also I mean, you got to be mentally tough and ready to go all the time, with having that. Were you wrestling defensively, you think, with having that, or did you wrestle normal?
Like the mindset for that would kind of I was just kind of thinking, well, who else wrestles through a torn ACL and torn
Seriously.
meniscus? Who else does that? So I was just kind of thinking like why not be almost one of the first, or why not push through this pain and come out on top and just have that amazing feeling that you made the right decision on finishing the season out.
Yeah.
I definitely felt like I wrestled a little defensively, but the only thing I feel like I switched up is my lead leg
Okay.
because I couldn't lead with my normal leg.
Okay. But you felt like you were wrestling pretty normal otherwise?
Yeah, I felt like I was wrestling pretty normal. I didn't take as many shots because I didn't want to get down on that knee too hard and it
Yeah.
hurt too bad to finish the match. So I just kind of was heavy on the head and just kind of stayed back and made sure no one shot in on that leg.
Okay. Awesome. So yeah, you went undefeated and then won a state title. Tell me about that state championship feeling, girl.
Well, I was definitely super excited and super relieved that I could push myself to the point where I could win that state title, come back from last year, and it was so like relieving because I was terrified with my knee and
Yeah.
I did not want to get that hurt again. So me coming back and winning state was absolutely amazing. I definitely was very emotional because I did it for my brother who had shattered his ankle at state.
Oh no, he did it at state.
Yeah, he did.
Oh no. So yeah, you won for your brother then. That's really cool. That's really cool story. I didn't know that was your inspiration behind it. I'm sure you have like a lot of support and a lot of supporters. Other than your brother, who else do you have?
Well, definitely my mom,
Mm-hmm.
because she coached me before anybody else. She was always there for me when some of those male coaches from USA didn't want to coach me. She's gone through all my national trips and always been there to support me.
Well, that's good. I'm glad. So you won state. You have a swollen knee. Was it swollen or did it feel okay after you were done?
It was pretty swollen, but it didn't hurt too bad or anything. It
Okay.
just kind of was uncomfortable.
Okay. And then you had surgery, right? After that?
I did. A week after stay, I went in and they told me exactly what they were going to do, and then they went in and fixed it.
Okay. So what does that recovery look like?
So that at the beginning, when I tore my ACL, they told me it would be 4 weeks on crutches, but then with the meniscus tear, I ended up being on crutches for 6,
Oh, crutches are
which
the
was really
worst.
hard because I hated them. They are so bad.
Oh, yeah.
But now I'm just on the recovery back. They said 8 to 9 months of physical therapy, and we're at that 6 month mark where we're getting pretty close to where I'm able to start getting back out there, start lifting heavier weights, and getting ready for the wrestling season.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to see how that knee is holding up for the next couple of years for you. But you got to go to the Iowa trip still as a manager, correct?
I did, yes.
Yeah. So how was that for you,
It
watching
was
and
it
being
was
on the
very fun.
sidelines?
It was definitely a lot harder because, of course, I wanted to be out there wrestling, but it was amazing to get to go with these girls and get to see what they can do and the support they show each other.
Yeah.
So it was definitely amazing to get to see everybody doing their thing.
Yeah, and I'm glad you still got to be a part of it. You definitely deserve to be on that team. But this kind of just brings up, like hard times and how you're going to get through adversity. So, with having your injury and having to have your surgery and not being able to wrestle at nationals, even though you just won state and was undefeated all season, what helped you get over your injury?
Well, at first I was super upset. I figured I thought I was done. I thought So it made me really sad. But as I started to realize that I can't help what had happened, so I kind of just thought, okay, I'm going to get better. I'm going to be ready for next season. I'm going to heal up and I'm going to go out there and give it my all and definitely excel. So it was just kind of a mental thing, knowing that I have next year, I can push myself harder. I can be better than I am now.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't want to injure yourself more and be sitting out for longer. So I'm hoping that you do all of your recovery the way that you're supposed to. Don't start before you need to and listen to your body. Because I want to see you out there on that wrestling mat and I want to see you kicking butt. So definitely take care of your body and let it do its thing. And that's why I wanted you to come on the trip as a manager so you could still feel involved. But I want you to definitely heal up and come back stronger next year. So I'm excited to see you. All right, Ashton, you have a quote for us. Would you like to go ahead and say that for me, please?
I would. The most successful people see adversity not as a stumbling block, but as a stepping stone to greatness.
I love that. So, all this episode, we've talked about, you being in a wrestling room full of boys, you being able to come out undefeated state champ with a torn ACL and meniscus. So, you've obviously faced a lot of adversity. Is there any advice that you would like to give to anybody out there facing adversity?
I would just say that if you're facing adversity, I think you should just push forward and push through that, because no matter what other people say, you should do what you think is right and you should do what you would like, because I think that adversity is just what makes you stronger and what makes you want to fight more.
Love it. Love that. Is there anybody on here that you would like to give a shout out to?
I would just like to shout out my mother, Cassie Brost, and then my stepfather, Darren Brost. They are the biggest supporters I have.
which is great. You always need good support, and I love that you have that back home. All right, Ashten. Well, I think that's all that I have for today. I really enjoyed our time talking, even though we kind of had a little internet malfunctions, but it's okay. I look forward to seeing you on the mat next season. I look forward to hearing how you're doing and how your knee's healing up. And I hope that you can continue to, develop and get better and better and better. And, let's see you win some national championships coming up here with the strong knee. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks for being on here with me today, Ashten.
Thank you.
All right. And thank you guys so much for joining us. And we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Can't accept the loss, I'm hard-headed. There's a little bit of madness to my method. Many falling off that fine line that I'm treading. I risk anything to be great, and I'm not letting nobody rob me of my victory. Number one, that's what I'm meant to be. When by any means, only thing that makes sense to me, I can make nice or make history.